Hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming back to us today. We're on the second day of the Elevate webinar series, so I appreciate you coming along. My name is Kleena again. I'm the Events and Client Success Manager here at SmartSimple, and today I'm joined by Kevin Duncan from Special Olympics. I know that we had such a great response to Kevin at the Elevate conference last year in Boston. So we knew that we had to have Kevin back to speak with us again. So we really do appreciate his time. Just before I hand over to Kevin, a few housekeeping items. Please do submit your questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. So we will take some time at the very end to go through those. And I'm sure Kevin will be obliged to answer those questions. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Kevin. Thank you for joining us, Kevin.
Thank you. First and foremost, happy 2024, everybody. I hope everything's going well. And also good morning, good day, good evening. I know we might be scattered all around the world. So it's an honor to be here again. I kind of want to give you guys a background and then an update from what I spoke about in Boston, answer any questions, and then kind of go from there. So I'm just going to jump right in here. If you can't see my screen, please let us know. But this is the agenda for today. I'm going to be covering our phase one review, what kind of I spoke about in Boston, our new approach is super exciting. We're going through implementation phase here coming up. What's to come, timeline and our action items. And I would love to hear back not only questions or comments, but what you guys think can help us going forward. Anything's appreciated. So please let me know. We started this project about 2 to 3 years ago, I want to say, potentially even longer, with scoping for phase development. Within the scoping period, the internal scoping period, I should say, there's a lot of twists and turns as we were trying to set up SmartSimple to the way we want it to be set up. We phased out our approach into 4 phases. With that, we lost some people on our side, things happened. And so the project was kind of put in a weird space and put on hold. When I came on, we just began phase one. When I came onto this project, we just began phase one. And we noticed that a lot of our items here were still valid. However, a lot of things have changed, as you can imagine, in the course of a couple of years. And we didn't really know kind of how to explore them or how to go about moving to phase two, phase three, phase four, with new business units being set up within Special Olympics, etc. So there's a huge, I guess, curve that we had to overcome to really understand where our business units are within the process, and also what we can do and what we can change within SmartSimple to kind of get the platform where we want it to be, just because we operate in a unique way as well. That being said, we went through phase one, and our phase one was a payment integration. And how our payment is integrated, it goes through SmartSimple, it goes through kind of like a home base here at Special Olympics. Then it goes over to Concur. From Concur, it goes to our AP. Then our AP approves it. Then it goes to NAV, and it's this huge cycle. And it probably will go through this whole, I guess, maze of submitted for payment, etc. within in the background. Multiple times. So when we're working with our vendor from NAV, we had huge issues on how it was kind of written and what language it was written in regards to like Python. Is kind of written in like a weird way, and the person who wrote it wasn't there anymore. So we had to rewrite our whole the whole process on the back end with our new vendor. And then that took about 9 months. So we put the whole project on hold. During this time, we worked with Resolve. They've been amazing throughout the process. Shout out to Beth and team, everyone over there. And it was really quite difficult for us on our end to get this right. We finally did. We came with them and came to the conclusion that, hey, we have more pressing needs currently than what were in the phases. So within phases 3 and 4, we kind of put in our backlog. We used Jira, we put them in our backlog, and we did a PCR project change request to essentially prioritize our high priority items. This is a new format that we came up with. Essentially be a scoping session, backlog refinement, 1 to 2 week sprint, implementation 2 weeks, user acceptance testing, and then remediation. This works a lot better with us. We probably have 40 to 50 items in our backlog. And we can imagine we have 7 business units using SmartSimple, so they all combine, and everyone has pressing needs, understandably. But with resources on both ends, we can only do a certain amount in a certain amount of time. So to prioritize them, we kind of took one from each business unit and put it into our sprint cycle here. So the way I look at it, this is each one of these are a cycle, and this is how it's being broken down currently. With the holiday break, it's kind of a little bit of a weird one for their cycle. So this is a combined 2 cycle or 2 sprint cycles in total. And it's only like this because of our holiday break. Excuse me. This is going to help us tremendously because when we're looking at our high priority items, we've been able to scope out a lot of items within Jira. And one of those is multiple funding. So initially when I was speaking about the payment integration piece, now our finance team is looking at a way to essentially pay from 2 different grants. So essentially like the CDC and whoever else, and then pull it to our sub awards. And this is quite difficult as well. So we created an API call from Concur that speaks to SmartSimple. And now we're working with the Resolve team to see how we can actually implement that. How we're going to pull the information out of SmartSimple and then into Concur to produce the award letter, etc. So we have a kind of a daunting task ahead of us, but I think we'll be able to accomplish everything we're looking to do. Within our scoping session as well, we're semi-flirting with the idea of SmartSimple AI. And that's really going to get into talks tomorrow with the team. We received some amazing videos that we're going to show to the team and kind of plant the seed and see if it grows, see what we can do. Funding is limited, obviously, but hopefully it works. It would be great for everybody here. These are the items that are currently being scoped within the 2 cycles that I just showed you. So payment integration process, payments with multiple funding sources. That's kind of like the daunting one that keeps me up at night. All the other ones should be pretty simple. There should be a revision as requested button instead of option to decline. A lot of our programs, so essentially the way it works is here at Special Olympics International, we put out an application for our sub awards. Our programs apply to them. And then if the application isn't up to our standards, originally we just pressed decline and it caused a lot of issues. Now we're asking for revisions requested button so they can go back in instead of restarting over. Email reminders, we are trying to drive back a lot of business to SmartSimple. It seems that things are getting lost in the shuffle. And so when programs apply, they kind of just think that it's over with. I think personally that could be better communicated on our end here at Special Olympics, but we're just trying to drive back everyone to SmartSimple to see, hey, there's action items on your end, etc. RM stands for regional managers, or like the ability to delete application records to programs. So a lot of applications come in and we want the ability to essentially delete them, but have a history of them as well. Additional languages, this one's a huge one for us. We're in 170 different countries. We were looking at SmartSimple functionality with we will translate. However, it kind of worked in the inverse than what we're wanting it to. And this is where the conversation for SmartSimple AI came up. Hopefully that can work out. We can find the necessary funds to kind of get that going here shortly, but that's going to involve a lot of internal discussion and a lot of convincing on my end, but I'm good at that. So hopefully that will land as well. Role security, review headquarters staff. We kind of have everyone originally in they're all in, I guess, one large bubble. So this is just breaking down everyone into their business units so they don't see everyone else's applications, etc. And then onboarding our leadership and development organization is going to be a pretty huge one for us as well. And we're excited about that. Right now, our contract with DocuSign ended, and so we're switching over to Adobe. This has kind of been a lot more difficult than expected as well to implement Adobe into SmartSimple. We've been working with Carrie at the Resolve team. She's been wonderful, and shout out to everyone over there. However, we had to create multiple email addresses and kind of go in incognito mode. And there's a lot of, I guess, hoops on our end that we have to jump through, and we have to let all the programs know. And so if they don't look at our team's message, then they're just applying away. And so there's a lot of, I guess, triage that we have to do afterwards. And it's the name of the game. And it's been a hard one, for being honest with everyone here. It seems like a safe space. We're almost done with the integration, which is great. We're creating trainings today. We have a program called, I want to say it's called Camtasia, where we can do video records, and we can go through the training there as well. So hopefully no one applies when it's downtime today, but we'll cross our fingers there. We just implemented this as well within Special Olympics. We have a SmartSimple folder, which is great. This took a long time to get. We've been creating trainings throughout the organization, so they don't come back to us, or they come back to Resolve support. We are on, I think, the tier 2 level of Resolve support annually, and we keep getting emails that we're going over our usage hours, which is not so great. And so we created, it looks like we've created 20 so far, kind of know-hows, how-tos, etc. These are action items for the first 2 cycles. So the first sprint cycles is roles. They're pretty straightforward. However, there's a lot of work on my end and Resolve's ends to get these completed. A lot of the email reminders that are being sent out aren't triggering to the right participants, and so we need to test those to actually see who's going to be getting them and who is what. That's just a duplicate slide. Apologies. And then what to anticipate in 2024. Our budget is limited. We're looking to fundraise internally for that as well. We just received a grant from the CDC, which could help if they would send some money over our way. Hopefully we can get them to do that. New business units onboarding is planned. We're planning on onboarding 2 additional business units other than the leadership and development. One is our UCS. They have their own portal that's created, and that's originally what we were going to use internally. When I say portal, grants portal. So we're looking to onboard them. That's going to be a huge one for us, as they work with essentially almost every high school in the United States. And so they're going to bring in a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of training to be done. So we have our work cut out for us there. And then next one's training. We just went through that. And then everything else is pretty straightforward. We use Teams, and we created a Teams channel there. But that's kind of what our 2024 looks like. We're guessing that we're going to have We're gonna need around 4 to 5 more cycles after these sprints to complete everything. We're looking at early 2025, I'm assuming, based on everything to be completed as well with the whole integration piece and with this project. It's still ongoing. We don't know what lies ahead for us. We just got a new CITO, so we don't know the direction that we're going. However, SmartSimple is going to be here for, it seems like, a while. And so we want to ensure that everything's up to date, everything's as needed as we implement more business units. We want to ensure that they are using it correctly as well. But we also want to ensure that we're kind of having the same playing field and everyone is doing the same workflows. And so that's going to be my personal challenges for this year. And if anyone has any, I guess, comments that can help me out, best of lucks, anything there, greatly appreciated. And I'll love to collaborate with any of you, as well as when I was in Boston, I spoke to a lot of amazing people there. So please, any thoughts, feedbacks, questions would be great. And then clean up.
Sorry, was still on mute. Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin. There's a few questions that have come in. I'll just get to the ones that are in the box there now. So folks, there's still time to submit those questions. So, okay. So can you provide a little more insight into how the integration with existing ERP software is managed, particularly in handling different payment statuses like paid pending verification, paid investigation required?
Yeah, I can actually show you guys our payment integration piece. I don't know if this is allowed, but I can go to our Miro board. You can see this wonderful work I've created. It's very complicated process. It shouldn't have been, but the way it's set up in our system, that's kind of how it is. So essentially, our grants manager, let me know if you guys can see this, assigns a payment within our portal. Then it goes over to SmartSimple. And we use Miro. Then it goes over to Concur and Covient MFT. That's essentially our platform here. And then this is where the payment statuses start to really change. It's assigned the payment manager. And then down here, once it goes through Concur again and it's exported from Nav payment status, so the payment status is going to change. And then once our autoloader updates it, it goes either submitted for payment, and then it goes down here to pay pending verification. So our accounts payable will have a lot of work in this cycle to really see what is going on, to approve it, etc. And then our autoloader will import it and then process it. And then the program says receives the payment. And then when it's in process and it's paid pending, and then it's submitted for funding as well. So the whole process looks like this, from start to finish. It usually takes from application date to paid. It's really dependent on how fast things go. Some things we batch overnight at like 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Some things take a 2-day processing, but the whole cycle should take around a week. And so this is where we got hung up for the whole year. With this whole cycle, we had to review everything, and then we had to really go back in there and see, what's working, when can we actually batch these items, how are we going to house them, etc., because they need to be stored with us for at least 3 years. And so this whole thing was really, a lot more complicated than it should be.
Sure.
Sorry.
How effective is the creation of business unit branches within the system's internal hierarchy? And then additionally, how does this new assignment role of unit staff member contribute to the overall efficiency?
Yeah, so the new roles that we created in SmartSimple are gonna contribute tremendously to efficiency over the years. Right now, when a program staff, let's just say Africa, logs in and they see all the applications, it's going to get all intertwined with Southeast Asia or Latin America as well. And so it kind of gets confusing because we have a lot of different verbiages that don't apply to different regions, etc. And we like to use acronyms over here, and I still get confused. So you can just imagine someone at kind of the program level who's not working with SOI, how confused they can be as well. So this is just really going to, I guess, silo them off into their own little SmartSimple world rather than seeing like the whole picture, which is going to be really helpful for them because we'll get someone from Africa applying for Latin America subaward, etc. And the crossover has been kind of confusing, and they'll miss deadlines, and we don't want to miss any deadlines. And so I think, hopefully a lot of confusion will be brought down there. And then also with their dashboards, they're only going to see what's in their kind of like their own world, as I just said, as well. So hopefully a lot of confusion will kind of be put to rest, and they can really get everything in on time, and they're not applying for different sub awards and with the language feature as well, or however we process that. There's not going to be any barriers there. So hopefully that means I kind of went on a tangent there.
All good. Can you elaborate on one of your action items discussed was in relation to the payment integration, the proposed revisions request option, and the desire to delete application records? How does this align with your future plans and enhancements?
Yeah, that's a great question. Currently we have an option to delete, but we don't have an option to send back to the programs in regards to revisions requested. They would kind of have to do it all over, or we can put a pause on it, mimic their session, and then go in on the back end. So there's a lot of work on the back end to get done to get to the revisions. This way we can just send it back to them. We can tell them what's necessary to process the application, etc. It kind of gets tricky too, because if with the delete button as well, we want to have all of our deleted applications stored for a certain amount of time. I believe it's 90 days. So they're kind of, I guess these two action items are a little bit head-butting in a way, because we want to we don't want to essentially get rid of the delete or decline button. We want to just have our applications be stored for 90 days when we decline it, but we also want to have a button that says revisions requested. So we're in this weird spot where we want to keep them for 90 days just in case we need to pull them, but it could be on our end if we don't see something and then we decline it, then we can re-pull it. But if we see something at the beginning, then we can just send it back to the programs.
Can you explain a little bit more about how you figure SmartSimple plus AI will help with your system?
Yeah, I mean, personally, from what I saw in Boston, the language feature can help tremendously. I think there's a lot of things that are coming forward in regards to AI that are kind of unknown. We're still trying to figure things out, but it seems like the way forward is going to be AI. And so I think it's just streamlining applications. It's going to help with onboarding staff. It's going to be super simple for someone who's relatively new within SmartSimple to log in and kind of ask questions or navigate as well. As I said, we're in 107 different countries. Not necessarily everyone in our regions use SmartSimple, but our regionals managers from those countries do. If someone's out and someone's taking their place, then they can relatively easily go in there and either chat or get navigated through the process of having to look at our wonderful 20 different kind of know-hows or trainings that we created on our knowledge base. Those are only in one language as well, so the language feature will be huge. I'm sure there's a lot of different items that I'm not even mentioning now that SmartSimple AI has, but in general, we're trying to stay on top of new technology, and this just seems like the most logical step forward. The biggest hurdle for us is funding. Um, but I think once we see the benefit in it and we onboard these other business units, then it'll really kind of click in everyone's head.
Yeah, cool. I have a few questions here about the knowledge base and how it's stored and stuff like that. So I'm just going to get into that. So the first question is your knowledge base stored and assessed by users in a certain system platform, or are the documents stored in something else like SharePoint?
So they're currently in SharePoint, or they were in SharePoint. Now we have this thing called Fresh Service as an internal, I guess, knowledge platform in a ticketing system. And so it's stored in our knowledge base in our ticketing system. However, it's also stored in our Microsoft Teams and in a shared document. So they can access it through those different points, but we kind of send everyone back to our Fresh Service platform, just because we're trying to get everyone over there.
Okay, fair. Okay, so then that kind of answers the first part of the next person's question, but their second part was, has your staff found it useful? Do they use it?
Um, uh, I've heard feedback that it's useful. I've heard feedback that, they can't really access it, they don't know how to find it, etc. And that's where we put it in Microsoft Teams. I was reluctantly put it in Microsoft Teams. I think once a lot of items are kind of updated within our processes at Special Olympics, then a lot more people will be pointed that direction. I think if they have questions, they just come straight to the source. And I guess the source is me or Stacia. Shout out to Stacia as well. However, we get a lot of questions per day, and we have to, I guess, either answer them or they're submitting a ticket to carry at Resolved, and then it's taking a lot of time. And it's super simple things, and I don't think they're taking the time to go to our knowledge base. That's one thing we're trying to figure out. And so, like I mentioned in my PowerPoint, we're going over our usage hours every month. I think we're almost there this month, and it's not, I guess it's a little bit over halfway. And so we need to find a way to really get people pushed over there and for them to read it. That's how the whole Camtasia video came about, is now we're doing interactive trainings that are being recorded rather than excuse me, the knowledge base items just on the Word document. So we're going to see if that works, and if that doesn't work, I don't know what's going to happen then.
Cool. And then last question. So it's what is your uptake of your knowledge base? We're struggling to translate the new configurations into user confidence using SmartSimple. So I'm wondering what are some of the best practices are to keep program staff confident and engaged with SmartSimple?
SmartSimple is an amazing tool. I think traditionally 2 years ago, 3 years ago, full transparency, I think people lost a little bit of confidence in it, and I think what happened with internal turnover, and it was a new system and no one likes change. So user adoption was a little bit harder. Now that we're really pushing things through SmartSimple, we're using the platform a lot more. To be blunt, they don't have a choice, and and so from there, it's either use it or I guess lose it, and they need to use it. And so we're trying to make it as best as possible for them, for what we have as a system. And with the new project that we're doing with Resolved, I think it's going to work out in everyone's favor. All the complaints that we're hearing are kind of workflow issues, and it's nothing really in regards to SmartSimple. It's things on our end, or I guess things that aren't really driving people back into SmartSimple. And so if they want their sub award or or whatnot, they're going to have to use the platform. They have to use it correctly. And so at the end of the day, we're trying to make it as streamlined as possible, as quick as possible, and user friendly. And that's where the knowledge base kind of came to fruition, and then our Camtasia trainings as well. However, there's just so many people, and the magnitude is so large that it's really difficult to kind of train everyone on how to use it, or train our regional managers who then train our regional staff, etc., or our programs. And so we're trying to figure out the best way possible to go forward. And I think the trainings that we're doing on knowledge base is what we can do, because we don't have the time to train everyone. And we're hoping that SmartSimple AI kind of could potentially help us with some of that, with some of the easy questions at least. And so I guess just go from here and see what it looks like. But yeah, user adoption is kind of mandatory now. And
Super. That's all the questions we have, Kevin. I appreciate your time again. I know that from a SmartSimple point of view, you can all get in contact with us at platformsolutions@smartsimple.com. I don't know, Kevin, if you want to give your details about it, if anyone wants to get in contact with you, or
yeah, I mean, I'm an open book. Please, SmartSimple is kind of new to us in regards to a lot of certain aspects. So if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, any, ways that you think that we can go forward in any different aspects, I'm open to hearing everything. We just want to make sure it's the best for us. So we're open to everything. So I can share any details.
perfect. Thank you so much. A recording of this will go out at the end of the week as well, so I can follow up then. So tomorrow, join us again. We're joined with from Angela from the Coca-Cola Foundation as well. So please come along again tomorrow. Thanks, Kevin, for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers. Bye bye.